Hey guys, so by popular demand, I had a few people ask us for a video regarding the deadlift. So I'm going to take a go at it to teach you some of the main components of doing a proper deadlift. And if you feel like you can integrate these things, by all means do it, because deadlift is one of the most important exercises you can do in the gym. But if you're still nervous about it, I definitely recommend you get help by someone who definitely knows how to do a deadlift. So hopefully, at least, if you can pick up the points that I talk about here, and you can find a coach that you see kind of generating the same points when they tell you and coach you, then you know you're in good hands. If someone says, just pick up the bar from the ground, then you know that person doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. So look for the right person to help you. Otherwise, these are the few components, right? So the first thing that you do during a deadlift, need to understand during the deadlift, is a deadlift isn't a squat. A deadlift is a hip hinge. What's a hip hinge, right? If I'm standing here and I go down like this, that's a squat. You see, hips and knees both bend around the same time in a pretty large degree. What's a hip hinge? A hip hinge is when you bend from the hips more than you do from the knees. So here, you see how little the knees are bent? How much the hips are bent, right? Like you're bowing on stage is what I always say, right? But now, the deadlift is not as simple as just bowing forward and picking up, because you can hurt yourself that way. So what you got to keep in mind is the hip hinge is definitely bending from the hips, but the knees have to bend slightly because your butt is reaching back. Unless you're doing stiff leg deadlifts, which is a whole other story, and that's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about conventional deadlifts. So hip hinge, reaching back, feel like you're going to fall backwards off your heels, right? So you got to reach your butt back. What we do usually, you stand in front of the wall, about a foot away from the wall. You got to reach back, hip hinge to touch the wall with your butt and stand up. Okay, that's the preliminary position that we work on, moving in this angle, right? So you do this motion a few times, practice it, so you can get the hips used to moving independently from the knees, and also keeping the spine in neutral. So the spine in neutral is extremely important. You see a lot of people talk about breaking their backs doing deadlifts, and that person's form is horrible. That comes from your back, right? You need to hip hinge with a neutral spine. So the knees don't go forward, right? Like we talked about, the knees are coming here, your butt is reaching back. Now, your back shouldn't be here. You're gonna keep that chest out, tall spine, whether you're here or you're standing up, back in the same position. So no movement is coming from the torso. No movement is coming from the back. It's all being generated from here. The hips, glutes tighten up to pick you up. It's not the lower back that tightens up to pick up the weight, okay? It's the glutes. Boom. Strong glutes make a strong deadlift. And that's why you get such a nice butt when you do deadlifts. So going on from there, we talked about hip hinging, right? The concept of the way you do the movement and the difference between that and a squat. We talked about keeping a neutral spine. Now let's talk about the other component. This is a component that's a lot of times missed by many folks, which is tension. Creating tension through your body. Now this is a complete body exercise. Yes, it mainly focuses on the posterior chain, the back of your body. But that doesn't mean that the front, the anterior chain, isn't activated, right? So you got to create tension in order to generate that power throughout your entire body. So the main places we want to create tension on, and we always focus on at VIDA, is quads have to be tight, glutes have to be tight, core, right? And the core is all of this, has to be tight, right? And that includes the lats. So packing the shoulders. So this tends to be the most difficult part. Most people can tighten up their quads, no problem. A lot of people have difficulty tightening up their butts, right? But let's assume you can tighten up your butt. You can tighten up your ass. Now let's talk about the shoulders. So if you do the opposite thing as shrugging here, this is not packing your shoulders. You press them down, right? You activate your lats. You hear her breathing? That's tension, that's power breaths. That's exactly what we're talking about here. So you pack your shoulders, reaching your fingertips down, you're activating the lats. It's going to shove the shoulder into the socket. You're never shrugging when you're deadlifting. It's not a good procedure. But also when you're bending forward and you pack those shoulders, look how my back actually activates to stay in that position, right? The lats is a giant muscle that covers most of your back. Activating that muscle is going to keep that shoulder safe, but it's also going to protect the rest of your back, right? So we cover those few points: tension, hip hinging, what hip hinging is, and how to keep a neutral spine. Now, when we talk about the shoulder packing on the bar, a good way to do it is grabbing the bar and pretending you're breaking it, right? Breaking it, right? Some people do it this way. They pretend they're breaking something here, and now the lats are activated. They can reach down, grab the bar, keep it tensed, and do a deadlift from here. Or the way I do it is I reach down from here, grab it, and then create tension from here, right? So breaking the bar. So now that you're ready to do the actual deadlift, you practice all the tension points. Now we're gonna talk about where the barbell needs to be. So when you walk up to the bar, right? What I like to tell people is to walk forward till they knock into the bar. Their shins are touching the bar, right? This freaks people out because as soon as you reach down to touch the bar, your knees want to come forward. And I tell them you can't do that. So when they try to do that, they're falling back, okay? Again, the hip hinge, reaching that hip back, helps you do that. So if you're reaching your hip back and grabbing the bar, then there shouldn't be any problem, right? But holding onto the bar, once you get your hands on the bar, still reaching your butt back, right? What's gonna happen is that you can actually use the weight of the bar to counterbalance yourself, right? So you should feel like you're falling back. If you were to let go of the bar, you might just as well fall back. But the bar itself has some weight on it, lets you bring some leverage back, okay? So you break it, boom. Now it's directly over your arches on your feet. Directly over your arches, and we're talking about conventional, we're not talking about sumo. A few differences, but you can do either. So, bar directly over the arches of the foot, and then if we were to stand from the side of me, you can see that the bar is also directly under my shoulder blades, right? And my arms are reaching straight down, so I create a straight line, and I'll show you the side angle in a bit. But from here, you grab bars directly over the arches, boom. Neutral spine, head is in neutral. Some people like to look up, like sometimes when I do heavy I look up, but generally you want to keep a neutral spine, packing the shoulders. Okay, so that's a deadlift, coming all the way up, boom, locking it out, squeezing all that tension I talked about. Again, breaking it. Okay, now I'm going to spin the bar to the side, so you can see kind of the side angles that I was talking about. From the side, right, again, walking forward till the bar is directly over the arches. Now, my shins are touching, by the way, so it's directly over the arches. Now, when I reach down, I grab the bar. Look at the points I was telling you. Bar directly under my shoulder blades, arms in a straight line, right? Back is in neutral. Hips are slightly lower than my shoulders, right? And some people can actually come even lower than that. I actually usually do a dip when I do my deadlift, but that's besides the point. So from here, straight up. And again, let me show you the shoulder packing because I emphasize that. So here, this is me without the shoulders packed. Back is still in neutral. Once I pack the shoulder, see that? Again, shoulder packed. So guys, this is going to be Paola doing her deadlift, right? So you're going to notice there's a few things that are different. Paola has a very long torso, while I have a shorter one. I have longer legs, smaller torso. Paola has the different proportions, right? So she's going to look slightly different. The angles are going to look slightly different. But you're going to see everything we talked about, which is the main points, the alignment and everything, is going to still be there, okay? So the other angles can change, but those points still have to be there, right? So when Paola reaches down to grab the bar, right? Okay, boom. So she grabs the bar, touching her shin over the arches, packing her shoulders, right? Head in neutral, back is in neutral, right? Ready? Whenever you're ready, do the deadlift. And down. straight line, bar. Enjoy your deadlifts, get stronger, push that deadlift, get a nice butt. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Have a great day.